I would see a flash of light in my mind, followed by a clear and detailed image of an invention, as if the universe was revealing its secrets to me. No, it wasn't supernatural. It was simply my mind, organizing and synthesizing everything I had learned, ready to create the impossible.
Get ready to embark on a revealing interview about Nikola Tesla. Mr. Nikola Tesla, it is an honor to have you with us on Reseña Historica.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure for me to talk about my journey and my inventions.
To start, I would like to know a little more about your childhood. What was it like growing up in Smiljan in what is now Croatia?
Growing up in Smiljan was a unique experience. I was born on July 10th, 1856, on a night of a lightning storm, which some say was a sign of my future. My childhood was marked by a deep curiosity about the world around me. My father, Nikola Tesla, was a Serbian Orthodox priest, and my mother, Georgina Duka Tesla, a woman of remarkable intelligence, an inventor of small household items, although she never received a formal education. She was my first inspiration, and I believe I inherited my love of invention from her.
And your family? How did they influence your life and career choices?
My family played a crucial role in shaping my character. My father wanted me to follow in his footsteps into the church, but my mother recognized my talent for engineering and science early on. Despite the difficulties, my father eventually relented and allowed me to study electrical engineering, which was a turning point in my life. My older brother Dane tragically died when I was still a child. In my youth, I caught cholera and almost died. My father, despite wanting me to pursue the priesthood, made a promise to let me follow my own choices if I recovered.
How old were you when your family noticed that you exhibited behavior ahead of other children?
I was about 5 years old when my family began to notice that I was different from the other children. From a very young age, I showed an insatiable curiosity and an unusual ability to learn and understand complex concepts. I remember being fascinated by the phenomena of nature, spending hours observing lightning and trying to understand how things around me worked. My mother in particular was the first to notice that I had a mind geared towards invention, and she always encouraged me to pursue my curiosity, even when it seemed unusual for a child of my age.
We know that you had a photographic memory and were fluent in several languages.
I believe my photographic memory was one of my greatest assets. I could visualize entire inventions in my mind, test and adjust them without needing to draw a single sketch. In addition, being fluent in several languages, such as Serbian, English, French, German, Italian, and Latin, allowed me to access a vast range of knowledge and collaborate with scientists from different parts of the world.
Is it true that you would see a flash in front of you, followed by solutions or inventions never before realized? Do you believe it could have been a paranormal intervention?
Yes, it is true that I often saw a flash of light in my mind, followed by a clear and detailed image of an invention or solution to a problem. These moments were extremely vivid, as if I could see the invention working right in front of my eyes, even before I started building it. However, I do not believe that these phenomena were the result of paranormal intervention. To me, these flashes were manifestations of the brain's natural ability to visualize and process information in an intense and creative way. It was as if my mind could organize and synthesize all the information I had accumulated, presenting it in a clear and ready-to-execute form. I have always seen science as a way to unravel the mysteries of the universe, and I believe these experiences were the result of deep mental work and intense concentration on my ideas and projects. Therefore, although these events might seem mysterious, I considered them an extension of human capabilities rather than something supernatural.
You said, it was as if my mind could organize and synthesize all the information I had accumulated, presenting it in a clear and ready-to-execute form. But you were still a boy at the time. How could a boy who knew little about life access such knowledge if it wasn't something metaphysical?
I understand your curiosity, and I must admit that even for me, these experiences were intriguing. As a child, I had a very fertile imagination and an open mind to explore the unknown. Although I was still young and had little life experience, I believe my mind worked differently, as if it had an innate ability to grasp and combine ideas intuitively. It is true that, at that early stage, my formal knowledge was limited, but inspiration doesn't necessarily depend on the amount of information one has. It depends on how that information is processed and connected. I was constantly absorbing everything around me: observations of nature, stories from my mother, readings that fascinated me, and my brain seemed to reorganize this information in ways that sometimes surprised me. Whether this was the result of something metaphysical or simply a peculiarity of my mind is hard to say for sure. I prefer to think it was an innate talent, a kind of mental engineering that I developed from a very young age. Perhaps it was a natural way of accessing deep intuition, which we all have to some degree, but which in me manifested more pronouncedly and precociously.
You were exceptional in college, balancing work with your studies. However, in your last year of college, during your youth, you faced conflicting times. How did it feel to lose all the progress you made in college because of gambling?
Yes, my last years in college were a period of great inner conflict for me. I was young, ambitious, and deeply dedicated to my studies, but I was also tragically drawn to a dangerous vice: gambling. At a certain point, my obsession with gambling took over, and I lost focus on my studies and my career. I went through moments of great anguish, especially when I realized that I had lost all the progress I had made in college because of this vice. I threw away notes, projects, and experiences that could have been fundamental to my future. This loss was devastating, both emotionally and academically. I felt ashamed and desperate, not knowing how to redeem myself. However, this experience, as painful as it was, ended up being a turning point in my life. When I realized how much I had lost, I decided to quit gambling once and for all, and redoubled my efforts to make up for lost time. It was a difficult process, but I managed to overcome this phase and channel all my energy into science and invention. This internal struggle taught me a valuable lesson about discipline and the dangers of temptations that can lead someone away from their true path. In the end, I believe that this experience, despite being one of the darkest periods of my life, made me a stronger and more determined person.
Did the difficult days persist for a long time?
Those were 3 challenging years. In addition to dealing with the gambling addiction, I distanced myself from my family and friends. My father passed away at just 60 years old. It was then that my uncles helped me return to the University of Prague. I couldn't enroll, so I went to Budapest and started working at a telegraph company, where I became chief electrician. That's how I began my journey.
Was that when you worked with Thomas Edison? Was there really a rivalry between you two?
My relationship with Edison was complex. When I arrived in the United States, I worked briefly for him, but I soon realized that we had very different visions. Edison was a great inventor, but he firmly believed in direct current. I, on the other hand, was convinced that alternating current was the future. This led to a rivalry between us, known as the War of the Currents. Although there were moments of tension, there was also mutual respect for our abilities.
Speaking of your inventions, what is your greatest pride?
Without a doubt, my greatest achievement was the development of the alternating current, AC, system. This discovery revolutionized the way electricity is transmitted and used. Alternating current allowed electricity to be transmitted over long distances efficiently, something that direct current, DC, advocated by Thomas Edison, could not do. This innovation paved the way for global electrification and is the foundation of the electrical system we use today.
So the transmission of energy as we know it today was your invention?
Yes, the transmission of electrical energy as we know it today was largely the result of my inventions and discoveries. I was the pioneer in developing the alternating current system, which revolutionized how electricity is generated, transmitted, and distributed. Before that, the direct current system, promoted by Thomas Edison, was the standard but had significant limitations, especially in transmitting energy over long distances. Alternating current, on the other hand, allowed electricity to be transmitted much more efficiently, reducing losses and enabling energy to be sent over great distances. It was crucial for large-scale electrification. In addition, I developed transformers and alternating current motors that made it possible to convert electrical voltages and efficiently use energy in industrial and residential applications. My collaboration with George Westinghouse was also crucial in the practical implementation of these technologies, such as the construction of the hydroelectric power plant at Niagara Falls, a milestone in the history of electrification. Therefore, although I did not invent electricity itself, I was responsible for creating the system that still today is the backbone of electricity transmission and distribution worldwide.
Many say that you had a vision of the future far ahead of your time. What were some of your most notable predictions?
I always believed that science and technology would have a profound impact on society. I predicted the creation of devices that we would now call smartphones, wireless communication networks, and even the possibility of wireless energy transmission to any part of the world. In addition, I foresaw industrial automation, robotics, and renewable energy as driving forces of the future.
Are you enjoying the interview? Don't forget to leave a like. This will strengthen the channel, helping us bring more content like this. You mentioned wireless energy transmission. Can you tell us more about the Wardenclyffe Tower project?
Of course. The Wardenclyffe Tower was one of my most ambitious projects. Built in Long Island, New York, my goal was to create a tower that could transmit electricity wirelessly, using the Earth as a conductor. I believe that this technology could provide free energy to the entire world. Unfortunately, the project was halted due to a lack of funding, but I still believe that wireless energy transmission will be possible in the future.
What was the impact of your collaboration with George Westinghouse?
My collaboration with George Westinghouse was one of the most fruitful of my career. He believed in the potential of alternating current and invested resources to develop it and make it commercially viable. Together, we won the War of the Currents and installed the first large-scale alternating current energy system at Niagara Falls. This was a milestone in the history of electricity.
Is there any invention of yours that you would have liked to see used on a larger scale?
I have always regretted that my wireless energy transmission system was not adopted. I believe that if it had received the necessary support, we could have created a world where energy was accessible and free for everyone. The technology was there, but the lack of vision and the economic interests of some prevented its realization.
Can we talk a little about your personal life? You were famous for being very productive. Could you tell us more about your daily habits and how they influenced your productivity?
My lifestyle was somewhat peculiar. I slept only 2 hours a night because I believed that sleep was a waste of time. I used this extra time to work on my inventions and devote myself to reading. I also took long daily walks, which helped stimulate creative thinking. I was always very disciplined, maintaining a strict routine that allowed me to channel my mental and physical energy into my work.
You were also known for your eccentricity. Did you have many quirks?
It's true, I was considered eccentric by many. For example, I had a deep aversion to pearls, to the point of refusing to speak to women who wore them. I also avoided shaking hands for fear of germs. I always had dinner at the same time, 8:10 p.m. In addition, I insisted on repeating any action that involved numbers divisible by 3, a habit I acquired early on and that in a way helped me stay focused and concentrate.
Were you a spiritual or religious man?
I grew up in a Serbian Orthodox family, but over time I developed a broader spiritual view. I didn't believe in a conventional God, but I had a deep belief in a universal force, a kind of cosmic intelligence that permeates the universe. I believe that all the laws of nature are expressions of this force. Science, for me, is a way to better understand this universe and ultimately to approach the divine.
How did you deal with the lack of recognition during your life?
It was challenging, but I never invented for recognition or wealth. My goal was always to benefit humanity. Despite the financial difficulties and the fact that many of my contemporaries received more credit than I did, I feel fulfilled by the lasting impact of my inventions. I knew I was ahead of my time, and that, in itself, gratified.
Did you have many loves throughout your life?
The love I dedicated to my work was so deep that there wasn't much left for anything else. I never married and rarely had romantic relationships. I saw celibacy as a way to keep my energy focused on my inventions. Women always fascinated me, but my dedication to science surpassed any other passion.
Your biographers claim that you were a humanitarian, yet you became a proponent of a version of selective breeding imposed by eugenics. Do you still defend this view?
The issue of eugenics is complex and delicate. During my life, I had ideas that are now viewed very critically. I believe these ideas stemmed from a genuine concern for the future of humanity, but I admit that my view on the subject evolved over time. In the early 20th century, eugenics was a widely discussed topic, and like many scientists of the time, I was also influenced by these discussions. I saw eugenics as a way to improve the human condition, believing that the selection of positive traits could help eliminate diseases and weaknesses from the population. However, I recognize that these ideas, when applied coercively and without regard for human rights, lead to extremely dangerous and unethical consequences. Reflecting on this issue today, I understand that the dignity and value of each individual are inalienable, regardless of their genetic characteristics. Human diversity is one of our greatest assets, and any attempt to manipulate this diversity based on preconceived ideas of superiority is deeply wrong. Therefore, if I were alive today, I would no longer defend eugenics. I have learned over time that true human evolution does not come through control or imposition, but through respect, education, and the creation of equal opportunities for all. Science must always serve the common good and be guided by solid ethical principles that value life in all its diversity.
How do you see the role of electricity in modern society?
Electricity is the lifeblood of modern society. It powers almost every aspect of our daily lives, from lighting to communication and transportation. Seeing how the world has adopted and expanded the use of electricity is, for me, a testament to the infinite potential of human innovation. I believe we are only beginning to explore what electricity can do for humanity.
How do you see the future of technology?
I see a future where technology will be increasingly integrated into human life, but in a way that respects and enhances our connection with the planet. I believe we will advance in areas such as artificial intelligence, robotics, and space exploration. However, it is essential that these advances are guided by a sense of responsibility and ethics to ensure that they benefit all of humanity, not just a select few.
You mentioned space exploration. Do you believe that one day we will be able to colonize other planets?
Yes, I believe that is inevitable. Space exploration is the next great step for humanity. As we deplete Earth's resources, it will be necessary to find new worlds to explore and colonize. Over time, technology will allow us to travel beyond our solar system and discover new forms of life and resources.
And what about energy use? Do you believe that one day we will be able to harness unlimited energy sources?
Yes, I believe that energy is abundant in the universe, and we are only beginning to scratch the surface. The sun, for example, offers unlimited energy through solar power. Additionally, I believe there are other forms of energy, yet to be discovered, that could revolutionize our way of living. The key will be finding ways to access and use these sources sustainably and efficiently.
We know that you were very concerned about the environment. How do you see the relationship between technology and nature?
I have always believed that technology should work in harmony with nature, not against it. Technological progress that destroys the environment is counterproductive. We need to develop technologies that not only preserve, but also restore natural ecosystems. I believe that in the future, humanity will find a way to live in balance with the planet, using technology to heal the damage we have already caused.
If you were in our time, do you believe you would be inventing renewable energy forms?
Yes, I believe that if I were in your time, I would be deeply involved in the research and development of renewable energy forms. I have always been greatly concerned with the future of humanity and the impact of our actions on the planet. In my time, I was already aware of the limitations and problems associated with burning fossil fuels, which is why I always sought ways to generate energy more cleanly and efficiently. I believe that energy is everywhere in the universe and that we can access it in ways we do not yet fully understand. Today, I would probably be exploring technologies such as solar, wind, and geothermal energy, and even looking for ways to harness energy from space or other unknown sources. My idea of wireless energy transmission, for example, could be applied to distribute renewable energy efficiently and without the need for large physical infrastructure. Additionally, I would be interested in developing systems that capture energy directly from the environment. such as energy from space itself or from the Earth's magnetic field. In short, I would be at the forefront of innovation in renewable energies, working tirelessly to find solutions that would allow humanity to thrive sustainably without depleting the planet's resources.
Would you make different choices in your life? Especially considering that you spent your old age without financial resources and without the company of loved ones, eventually dying alone in a hotel room?
If I had the opportunity to make some different choices in my life, I would certainly consider some changes. Spending my last years without financial resources and without the company of loved ones was extremely difficult. I dedicated my entire life to science and innovation, but in retrospect, I recognize that I may have neglected important aspects, such as financial security and personal relationships. My obsession with work and my inventions led me to prioritize humanity's progress over my own well-being and comfort. This total dedication to my work resulted in countless achievements that benefited the world, but it also left me vulnerable and isolated in old age. If I could do something differently, perhaps I would have sought a greater balance between work and personal life. I could have been more careful with my financial resources and more attentive to the human connections around me. However, it is important to remember that the choices I made were guided by my deep desire to contribute to humanity's advancement. Despite the difficulties I faced, I feel proud of the legacy I left. Dying alone in a hotel room is not how I would have liked my story to end, but I accept that it is part of the consequences of my choices. If I could do something over, I would try to ensure that my final days were more dignified and surrounded by loved ones. Even so, my greatest satisfaction remains the lasting impact of my inventions and ideas on the modern world.
To conclude, what message would you like to leave for future generations?
I would say, never stop dreaming and exploring. Human potential is limitless, and each generation has the responsibility to push the boundaries of what is possible. Always believe in the power of science and innovation to improve the world. And above all, remember that knowledge and wisdom are the true powers we have at our disposal. Thank you. Goodbye.
Today on Rasenna Historica, we had the pleasure of learning a bit about the life and accomplishments of Nikola Tesla, a brilliant mind who contributed greatly to the evolution of electricity in the world. I hope you enjoyed the interview. Please leave a like and follow Rasenna Historica for more content like this.